Yo, what's up, guys? This is Why Not Be Reckless, aka Why Not Be Casty. I'm one of the HCS commentators, and we have another HCS weekly report where we're going to be going over every single team leading up to the Dallas. And we started yesterday with Sentinels and Shopify Rebellion. Now we're going to cover Avengers, your number 8 seed going in, and not waste any time whatsoever. Avengers, made up of Hus, Nirvanical, Precision, and Swish 5. Similar to Shopify Rebellion we talked about just yesterday, one of the teams that didn't participate in that Rosetermania that ended up affecting the top 10 of 20 teams, such as Complexity, G1, so on and so forth. Avengers have stuck it out, and it seemingly has worked for them, but we take a deep look into it. Let's find out if that really is the case. So, Avengers find themselves in the Pool A, and not only in Pool A, but for the first time that I can remember, with this actual roster, are coming in as the number 2 seed in pools, just over Shopify Rebellion, Vertex, and then still behind Space Station Gaming. Avengers find themselves in a pool that I think suits them very well. I don't like it against Space Station Gaming, not to say that they can't win whatsoever, but I think Space Station Gaming clearly are the favorites, which is kind of the case for most of the number 1 seeds going in. Maybe you can make an argument for Complexity versus Native Red, but I like Avengers versus Shopify Rebellion to hold on to their 2nd seed. Shopify Rebellion obviously have the potential to beat out Avengers. Damn it, Rebellion have the chance to beat out Space Station Gaming if they're running hot, and Space Station Gaming aren't on their P's and Q's, but Avengers kind of find themselves comfortable within that number 2, and I think they kind of feel the same way too. I think they want to match up against Shopify Rebellion as opposed to like a Quadrant or a Sentinel. I think they're actually happy with the way they're pulling out. Okay, let's go over to Charlotte, and this is gonna be a little bit weird. Like I want to follow the teams and where they were in the beginning of the year, and then kind of follow through with where they were in the mid-year, and then going into even scrims. However, this team didn't even exist. It's made up of half of Believe the Hype, who ended up getting top 12, and then TSS, who did have Swish, and by the way, at one point did have Hus until they dropped Hus last minute and ended up picking up Septify. So Hus found himself without a team at this upper echelon of gameplay. So it's a little tough to kind of gauge where they were, because you're talking about 3 different teams. However, Nautical and Precision, top 12, Swish top 12 at TSS, so a little bit consistent there. And I honestly think if Hus was on this roster, I think they again would have probably finished off in top 12. I don't think that would have changed whether they had Hus or Septify on the roster. What I will say is that if I'm Avengers, I want to put myself in that top 8 tier. If I'm Avengers, I feel like now we have expectations on us. Now you're coming in as the number 8 seed, and you have to prove that you can play when those lights are bright on you. You have to prove that you can perform when those expectations are on you. Like it's great to see Avengers come in as, like, you know, a team is like, everybody's like, oh yeah, you know, they're gonna get top 16, top 12, or top, not even make it into championship bracket, and then they overperform and surprise people. But my question is, when you're truly tested as a team, is not when you're overperforming, when there's no expectations on you, but how do you perform when people have expectations of you? I want to see Avengers get top 8, and I know it's going to be tough. Not saying it's going to be easy, but I really want to see them get top 8 going into Dallas. Let's see what trajectory they're on. So mind you, in the first 4K North America only, by the way, going back of April 22nd and 23rd, Avengers end up finishing out top 8. So beating expectations, but let's see who they lost against. Because again, there are certain teams that I want to see Avengers win against, and there's certain teams I don't want to see Avengers get upset by. We're going to start off in pool play, where Avengers did get 3-0'd by Optic Gaming. Not gonna freak out about that. Like, you know, it's Optic Gaming, #1 seed in the world, at least according to HCS points. I don't think anybody's gonna freak out about that. Sentinels did get a 3-1 over Avengers, and this might have been when the Avengers were maybe a little bit young within their roster. But I will say, if Avengers do want to get through top 8, they're gonna have to go through the Sentinel. They're gonna have to go through the Rebellion. They're gonna have to go through one of the EU teams like Na'Vi or maybe even Quadrant. So I'm not gonna beat them up for losing the Sentinels. Sentinels are an amazing team. We know how strong of a team they are. But I will say, eventually, Avengers have to start turning that around. We'll go on a little bit and kind of talk about that later on. They did get the 3 over Darkest Hour. No surprise really there. I'm not really gonna sing home about that. The same way I'm not gonna beat them up for losing the Sentinels one time. Going into championship bracket, they did end up in the lower bracket where they 3-1 Native White. On the surface, beating Native White is really good. They're a team that made it through open bracket, got top 4 back in Charlotte. That's on the surface a big win. I do want to throw it out there that Native White have been struggling since. We'll talk about that in the next video, but Native White have been struggling to kind of find their own. So was that really as good of a win as it kind of is perceived on the surface? We'll find out more. Or maybe that's the real question. Space Station Gaming did pull off the 3-0 versus Avengers. Again, when it comes to optic, I say there's levels to this. When it comes to optics phases, Space Station Gaming, they're a tier above Avengers. I will say it can't be all that comfortable knowing that you're going to be sitting in the same pool as Avengers, and you recently got 3-0'd by Space Station Gaming. And it can't feel all that comfortable, but this was still early in the season. Let's see how things develop from Avengers once again doing well in North America. May 4th, it was during the 2K Open Series. Avengers ended up finishing up in top 6, which, again, well, I said I want to see them in top 8. Mind you, this is only North America. We're not even including teams like Quadrant, for example, or even Na'Vi or some of the other powerhouses like Six Karma and them who are really going to be gunning for a top 8 spot of their own. I think Avengers kind of top 6 in North America is where they really have to be in order to feel comfortable going into Dallas, and that's where they were, at least on May 4th. Getting knocked down to elimination bracket by FaZe, another 3-0. Would love to see, as time goes by, I feel like I would love to see Avengers start to get wins over the phases, over the Space Station Gamings, over the Optics. I would love to see some wins start to come in there. Getting 3-0'd by any team must not feel good, even though you know that we're talking about the top teams in the world. I'm sure eventually Avengers want to be one of those top teams in the world. Avengers end up 3-0ing Cloud9. They run into FaZe once again. And once again, FaZe come out with another 3-0. And now, over a 2-month span, not including scrims, you ran into the top 3 4 times. So, essentially, 1-6 carry the 1-11, 12 opportunities to get a win, and we haven't seen one win out of Avengers just yet. Again, I don't want to beat them up. It is FaZe, it is SSG, it is Optic, but I'm saying when you start to have expectations on you, and let's not forget, you're coming in now as the number 8 seed. If we were talking about Shopify Rebellions or Sentinels running into these guys, we would want them to get a win. Now we have expectations on Avengers. Want to see Avengers start to convert into some wins. Even if you're not beating FaZe, take a game. Take 2 off of them. Show us that you belong within this level of competition. Real for real. In the final tournament, final 4K phase, the FaZe 4K/Dallas qualifier. Avengers end up top 8 once again. Not disappointing. In the in pool play, once again 3-0'd by Optic, so 0-16 versus the top team versus the top 3. They took Sentinels the distance into a game 5, but did lose that out in that final tournament where Sentinels got the best of them. They did 3-0 live. So this is why I kind of said earlier that I feel like Avengers are happy that they're running into Shopify Rebellion as opposed to a Sentinels or a Quadrant, because as you've seen so far, they've run into Sentinels twice over the last month, and so far got beaten twice by them. Granted, one was in 4, this one was in 5. And that's something that kind of sticks in the back of your mind. So I really do feel like Avengers, maybe they won't admit it, but I feel like in the back of their mind, like, hey, you know what? I think we'd rather go up against Shopify Rebellion than go into Sentinels. I don't want, I never want to give any team a mental advantage. And I feel like if Sentinels were going into LAN, they would feel like they have a mental advantage going up against Avengers, even though Avengers are the higher seed going into Dallas. Either way, Avengers end up into the lower bracket. Status Quo went on a great run. Same as Mantra, by the way. We're not going to see them in Dallas, but Avengers did 3-0 a red hot Status Quo. And then got 3-0'd by Optic Gaming once again. So now we're talking, I think they matched maybe 6 times now. What's 6 times 3? There's 18? 18 chances against the top 3. Haven't gotten a win just yet. Maybe that changes when we go to LAN. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't know if there's I didn't know if there was something wrong with Halo Data Hive, but I only seen one scrim for Avengers, and that was against Proton Gaming, and that was literally just yesterday where they 9-4'd Proton Gaming, a very good roster, by the way. I didn't know if maybe there was like a glitch within the system, so I said, you know what? Let me check the Leaf app as well. And same thing, no custom games since May 13th. So maybe they're hiding their scrims, or maybe they're taking a little bit of a break. Maybe they're going, instead of going into overdrive and going into scrims and maybe overworking yourself over the last week, maybe they decided to say, you know what, why don't we take a little bit of break, and then we'll get started on May 24th when they start going in hard on scrims. I don't know if that was the case, but I do know that I've been looking around and I couldn't find anything except for this one scrim that happened just yesterday where they won 9-4 versus Proton Gaming. So take that for what it's worth. Stats here. Nice dominant win. Really close one on King of the Hill Live Fire. Even though I feel like every King of the Hill Live Fire at like a certain level seems to be close. Like nobody gets blown out on King of the Hill Live Fire when you're going into championship bracket. King of the Hill Recharge was a different case where Proton Gaming did get a dominant win. Avengers the 3-0 in the first few games. Actually, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row going towards Avengers. So quite a run by them going into scrims here. And yeah, that's all we got. I have a feeling that maybe Avengers were taking a week off for scrims after the May 13th tournament, the FaZe Dallas qualifier, and maybe now they're going to go into overtime. I'll make sure to keep an eye out on them. I'll let you guys know in the chat how things are going with that. But yeah, that's going to be your HCS Weekly Report, where we broke down the Avengers, probably the team that has some of the biggest question marks around them. Like, what are they going to look like? Will they overperform? Will they underperform? Will they end up just sitting in top 8? Where do we see Avengers going into DreamHack Dallas? All right, guys, like this kind of content, comment comment down below, leave a like, leave a subscribe, and don't forget, we stream it every single day on Twitch. If you're not following the Twitch channel, I don't know what you're doing. We actually do these videos live on Twitch before they even go towards YouTube, so make sure you guys get in there. All right, guys, peace out.